I'm Jessica Rhodes, and today I'm going to talk about my journal ecosystem and my journaling routine. First, I'm going to talk about my journaling routine, and it has kind of been a work in progress. I've only started journaling at the beginning of this year, so it's been about 2 months, and it's been a lot of trial and error. My original plan was that this bigger journal would be used for basically organization and work type things. It has a planner in there and notebooks related to that. And then this journal would be used for more personal things like memory keeping and my reading journal. And that's still the dichotomy that I'm keeping, but I had planned that I would write in this one during the workday mostly, and this one I would write in at night before I went to bed. That scheduling hasn't really worked out for me. This one I've been using a lot more because obviously I'm doing my work every day, so I'm going into this one every day out of necessity. But this one, the more personal one, I've had a lot of more of a hard time finding time for because I don't really have a lot of freedom in my nighttime routine at this point in my life. I have 2 little kids, and my nighttime routine kind of revolves around them. Often we will watch a movie together at night. That's just kind of the thing that we like to do if we have time. And then I'm trying to get them ready for bed, get things ready for the next day, getting them to sleep, reading to them. And by that time, I usually go to bed right after them. I don't have any energy to stay awake after that. Alternatively, I know a lot of people journal in the morning, and I do wake up a little bit before my kids, or before I need to wake my kids up. I wake up about 45 minutes before them, and I'll make coffee, put away dishes. Then I like to just sit and scroll on my phone while I'm drinking my coffee. It's really the most time that I spend going through my Instagram feed, going through my YouTube. I kind of enjoy that morning routine, and I don't really want to change it. I don't really have like the mental incentive to change that. So to make sure that I make time for this personal journaling, which I think is very important and I feel really good when I do it, I'm doing it at the beginning of my workday before I do anything else. And I'm making it in my mind something that feels like less pressure. I'm just saying, all I have to do is write down what happened the day before. I'm just gonna write in it for like 5 minutes before I start my day. And the reason that I'm making time for that is that I think it will be helpful to me. It just gets my thoughts out. It helps me to kind of remember what happened each day, and it just gives me like a clean slate to start work on. So I'll check back in with how that routine works out, but now I want to go through my journal ecosystem with you, like which notebooks I have, where I got them, the pens I'm currently using, and any little accessories I have in here. Okay, let's start with my personal journal. I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you what each notebook is for, where I got it, and all of that. So this notebook is an A5 size from Amazon. It came in a bulk pack, and it's a lined notebook. And I'm using this for my reading journal. And one thing I want to say before I go through these is that I'm not necessarily at this time an aesthetic journaler. I am more of a functional journaler. I like the supplies to be pretty, but when I'm actually journaling, I'm not worrying about my handwriting or decorating the pages or anything like that. This is really for the practical purposes of getting my thoughts down, organizing my thoughts, organizing my projects, and things like that. At some point, I do want to paint the front of this with like the title of what it is and just have fun with that, but it's not really an essential for me. I'm writing down just a page for each book. I wanted to do something like reading goals for each month, but that's just not something I'm gonna stick to, I realized. So I'm just doing a general reading goals, and if there's something I want to read more of or a specific book I want to read beyond just my giant TBR that I have on Goodreads, I'm gonna put it here. So I want to read more poetry this year, and I'd like to read The Artist's Way this year. Simple goals. I'll show you the most recent one that I finished was The Christmas Pig by J.K. Rowling. I read this with my son at nighttime. We got it around Christmas time, but we didn't start reading it until January. And for each book, I put the author, the format I read it in, the number of pages, or I've started putting for audiobooks the duration, the publication date, the genre, when I started it and when I finished it. And then I put the notes, what I liked about it, what I didn't. This isn't a really highbrow review. This is just for me to kind of remember what I liked and didn't like, and key moments that are interesting to me that I want to remember. This is a sketchbook. I wanted a sketchbook in each journal because I just want to draw more this year. I want to make more art this year. It's something I think about and make plans about all the time, but I don't do it as much because, again, recovering perfectionist. At the beginning, I put draw without judgment, which sounds kind of corny, obvious. I drew a really bad picture of a vase, but that's the point of this sketchbook and the other sketchbook and the other journal, is that I want to just draw things that come to mind, draw out my ideas, and not worry about how it looks. This is a first draft. This is just where I'll throw my ideas down and then I can perfect them later. And that, again, that's a hard thing for me to do, and I need to get used to it because that's the only way that you can get better at things that you don't know how to do, which is what I'm trying to do this year with drawing and painting. That's the beginning, kind of setting my intention. And then I drew out one project in here. I'd love to create, if you've ever seen the bowed jackets, it's a corduroy jacket with little doodles painted all over it that are very specific to the person who orders the jacket. And I believe Bode has like a team of artists, and you send in a questionnaire and then they make a jacket specific to you. I absolutely love the idea of that, and I love the look of these jackets, so I wanted to make one myself, and this is one of my upcoming projects. So I kind of just drew out like anything I could think of that related to me and my family and my life. I started laying it out on here. It'll probably be completely different, and then I put like notes on things that I love here. And that's all I have in here so far. I also have this little patch at the back. This is a sticker, and it has a pen holder. These are from Amazon as well, and they come in all colors, and I'll link them. And then the pen that I'm currently using is the V5 Pilot Hi-Techpoint 0.5. And I really love this pen, and I will continue using these. And here I have my more of a diary memory keeping type journal. I had this journal already, so I can't link this for you. It has like almost a rubbery cover, and it has these 3 ribbons. I love the ribbons. I wouldn't necessarily choose the gray color, but I was using what I had. And it's a dotted journal, which I like for when I'm writing out my thoughts, because I can write big or small depending on how I feel that day. At the beginning, I put my intentions, which is just a journal of thoughts and memories, ideally written daily. That's my only intention with this. I'm, again, giving myself not a lot of pressure if I don't write it daily, although I really, really would like to, because I think it's really a healthy habit and really helps you get your thoughts out and figure out your priorities and your intentions in your life. And that's all that's in my personal journal, a reading journal, a sketchbook, and a diary. This is my big behemoth blue journal. This is a B5 size, and this is where I keep all of my like work, daily task, productivity related things. You may have seen me make this fabric folder portfolio with the pocket folder on one side and the zipper pouch on the other. On top of that, I have my planner. A planner is the one thing that I have used consistently for years and years and years. I always write down my commitments and my to-do lists in a planner, and this is my favorite style that I've found over the years, is a weekly planner with a notes side on the other, so that I can see the week at a glance. I can see how much I have in there, how filled up it is, where I have too much congestion and I can't plan anything else. This is really helpful for me. I always split it up into appointments and reminders. So things that have specific times they need to get done in the day, I put here, and then reminders of just things I need to accomplish that day, or something is due that day, I will put here. So this is both work and personal. It's content creation deadlines and my personal deadlines with the kids, or appointments with the kids, or for myself. I keep it all in here because that's the only way that my brain would work. I could never keep it separate. I need to be able to see a day at a glance what I have in there, no matter what it's for. And then over here, I put to-do lists, what I'm making for dinner that week. Sometimes I'll put my workouts. Sometimes I'll do a thought dump here, but I try not to do that too much in here because it takes up so much room. So this book specifically is my lifeline. And again, I have another one of these little patches for my pen here. And this pen is a little bit different. This is a V5 Precise Extra Fine. I also have a sketchbook in here. I haven't really used it yet. This is from Amazon. It's a B5 size, and it has kind of a plasticky cover. And then I have my 3 beautiful marbled notebooks. These are my favorite notebooks because I love marbled paper and beautiful end papers on old books. And that's what these remind me of. So these 3. This one is my wellness journal. In the past, I have tracked like workouts in here. See, I tracked like each day and what I did for a while, weights I used for the specific workout, what specific exercises I did, and how many sets and things like that. I've taken notes on intuitive eating. I'm currently seeing a nutritionist that's teaching me a lot about intuitive eating. Any notes for that are in here as well. So this is kind of something that I come back to. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. If I have a specific exercise goal, I might keep a workout log in here, but just for the day-to-day workouts, since I'm in a consistent habit, I don't really feel like I need to write it down in here every time. This is a commonplace notebook. I loved this idea when I first discovered the journaling world because it was a place where I could keep lists that I could easily come back to. So anything that I want to write down that I would like to come back and reference in the future, I write in here, as long as it's not a creative project that has to do with content creation or any art that I make. I'll keep that in this one, but this is for other types of things. Like I'll keep my goals lists in here for the year. Looking at places for journaling supplies, and I wanted to write down all the stores that I found or all the brands. So I wrote a bunch of them down here so that if I wanted to reference back, if I was looking for something specific, I would know different places I could look for it. When I wanted to create a book journal, I watched a bunch of videos like this on people's journal ecosystems and people's book journals, and I wrote down ideas for things that I would like to keep in my book journal, although I've definitely simplified it since then. My journal ecosystem, when I was trying to figure that out, I wrote down all the things I would like in each journal just so that I can come back to it and see and adjust as needed. I put down the garden plan for my summer garden, what I would like in each of my raised beds. This is my ideal cleaning schedule. Again, it's something that I don't necessarily do every week, but if I'm trying to really get the house in order and keep it in order, I'll try to follow this general schedule. In the future, I will write an index here and I'll be able to come back and reference the different lists that are in here. And then this is my most used journal. This is my creative projects, content creation, and I write down notes for any creative project that I did, like what paint color I used, what stain I used, what tools I used, how much of something I needed, where I bought supplies, how I did it, just so that when I go back to do a similar project or the same project in the future, I have all those notes there and I don't have to guess or try to remember or go back in my highlights on Instagram to try to find out what I did the last time. I am making curtains for my living room windows. I've made professional style curtains with linings, double linings, pleats a few times, and every time I end up going back to the last time in Instagram and trying to find the stories or the videos in the cloud of how I did it. And that's really not an efficient way. So this time I wanted to write down all the details, all the measurements, and I'll write down the process so that the next time after the living room windows, when I go back and need to see how I made the curtains, I'll have all the information right there. Right now I'm learning to do a faux tortoise decorative finish on either furniture or objects. It's something I've wanted to learn for a while. So I've watched so many videos, and in the process, I've written down all their different supplies and processes. And I'm kind of, as you do, picking and choosing which processes I want to use when I do it, and based on how I want it to look in the end, because everyone's looks a little bit different. So this is my process that I wrote down using other videos and pulling in details. I'll also use this to write down scripts when I make a YouTube video. I was recently on a podcast, so I wrote down notes for things that I might want to talk about or things I might need to reference. That is my journal ecosystem. Again, I will link anything that I can that I have in here in the caption. Thank you for watching my journal ecosystem video. I hope that it was fun to see how I set mine up and it gave you some ideas. It was fun for me to go through and see how much I've used them so far and how I can use them more going forward. Hopefully my new journaling schedule will help me out in keeping a little bit more consistent with the diary type journal and memory keeping. And I can't wait to see my creative projects journal fill up as the year goes on because I just love using that one. I'll see you next week, and please subscribe if you'd like to see new videos.